Hi, it's Danielle here. Today I want to talk about how I went from having a lot of self-hate in my life to having a lot more self-care. So, backstory, I should have had self-hate earlier. If I was going to have it any time in my life, I thought I would have had it when I was a bit younger, because the first good chunk of my life there was just a lot of bullying in school, in my neighborhood, and then abuse at home. And I didn't really have much encouragement or anything. It was just always pushed down and made to feel like I am nothing. I never had a problem with self-hatred until I was recovering from eating disorder. So even when I had the eating disorder, I never really had self-hatred that I was aware of anyway. It was only when I entered recovery, I just became super angry towards myself. This is the first time I had so much anger, and I can't even describe it. I just wanted to I don't know, strangle myself or something. It was just really intense, and I would binge eat, and when I binge eat I would have even more anger, and it was always a vicious cycle, and I would just yell so much abuse inside my mind towards myself, and I would write down things as if I was writing to myself, how much I hate you, and I would engage in some forms of self-harm. I just never took care of myself for I don't know how many years, a long 8-9 years or something, I'm not too sure. And then it was only when I started to study counseling, which it didn't cure my self-hatred, but it definitely opened my eyes to self-care. And they talked about how important self-care is, and if you can look after yourself, then you're more able to look after other people. And so I really tried to work on self-care, and I really struggled. I don't know why I found it so hard to just incorporate something small. I just really felt guilty adding any self-care into my life. So I started with little baths, just having a little bath. And that was probably the most I ever did for about 2 years or something. Eventually I did incorporate more self-care a little bit. So I added in better food, but I still struggle with binge eating. I still struggle with self-hate and some self-abuse and abusing substances and things like that. But it wasn't until I think last winter, someone asked me to gather baby pictures of myself, because I was going to be speaking at a conference, and they wanted all the speakers to get childhood pictures, and I didn't know if I had any. I contacted some family members, and one of my aunts, she said she actually had some, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. She had about 5 pictures of me. And even though I know I was young at one stage, I know I was a very vulnerable, innocent child at one point, I don't know, it just became more real to me. And I looked at this girl, I might include some photos, and just looked at it and realized she never deserved to be abused or to be neglected. Just suddenly had a lot of compassion for her. And I just thought, why am I putting myself through all this abuse? I've already gone through all these years done by other people. Why am I continuing it? No one's asking me to have self-hatred. No one's asking me to treat myself badly. I had not been responsible at all. Instead, I was being almost worse. I was treating myself worse than anyone has probably ever treated me physically. I have to live with the consequences from my own actions. I have irreversible conditions because of the things I did towards myself. From my earliest memories, I've always blamed myself for any type of abuse. I always thought there was something wrong with me. So for the last year, I've been working on expressing anger and not just bottling it up. So if I really feel angry towards something, I'm going to either talk about it or write about it or something, just release it out there, because if I don't, it all just kind of bottles up in here, and then I'm going to probably engage in self-hatred or self-harm or something. But since releasing that out, I just feel so much more lighter. I can actually look after myself, and I don't really slip into any bad behaviors anymore, because I don't really need to. I don't feel that self-hatred that I used to feel. I feel so much more compassion for myself than I ever have done. And it really saddens me seeing like so many people have self-hatred, and I see it in like older men and older women. They just had it their entire lives, and I just don't want that to happen to you guys. I don't want you to have this for a long time. I don't even want you to have it beyond today, but obviously these things take time to work through. If you are struggling with self-hatred, I really hope this year is a year that you can work through it and that you can find compassion and love and self-care, and to be able to look after yourself, your whole body, your whole being. And I really hope that self-hatred would be something that you can overcome. I hope you'll take care of yourself, and maybe I'll speak to you sometime.